Picture this. You're in a stuffy high school classroom, but it's 4 o'clock p.m. The people surrounding you in the room are not necessarily your classmates or people you've ever seen before. At the teacher's desk is an old man with a stack of photocopies and a videotape. You've heard from others that this will be the longest 5 hours of your life, save for the SAT. So you get comfortable in your seat and get ready for the pre-licensing course to begin. Aside from the general driving information that you infer will be taught, the teacher goes on about the dangers of texting and driving. He throws some statistics in your face and shows you unsettling and potentially gory videos of what happens to teens when they text and drive. You're probably wondering right now if this is going to be a podcast on the dangers of texting and driving, thinking that you've already heard enough already. Well, unfortunately for you, this is just that, but a little more. I want to start a conversation and see where it goes, because the truth is that operating a smartphone behind the wheel of a vehicle is one of the most dangerous, distracting, and stupid things one can do. Alright, maybe you're a little insulted that I just called you stupid, but think about it. For a few brief moments, you're shifting your attention from the road and operating a motor vehicle to a conversation. Those brief moments add up, guys. New research from AT&T shows 7 in 10 people engage in smartphone activities while driving, and nearly 4 in 10 smartphone users tap into social media while driving. Almost 3 in 10 are surfing the net, and surprisingly, 1 in 10 are video chatting? What? Are you kidding me? I get that driving can be stressful or an undesirable activity, but this is ridiculous. If 70% of drivers are using their phones while driving, that is seriously increasing the odds of distracted driving-related accidents. What gets me is that a staggering 49% of adults admit to texting and driving, even though 98% of adults say they know the practice is unsafe. You are not invincible. Accidents happen, and you need to be on guard while driving, especially at night. It doesn't matter if you've had your license for 4 months, 4 years, or forever. It can happen to anyone because texting while driving makes you 4 times more likely to risk a crash, which is why I've entitled this podcast Suicidal Idiocy. The great philosopher Louis C.K. once said in an interview with a late-night personality Conan O'Brien, "I look around and pretty much 100% of people are texting and driving, and everyone's murdering each other with their cars. But people are willing to risk taking a life and ruining their own because they don't want to be alone for a second because it's so hard." Isn't that kind of messed up that he's right? These days, humans find it harder to be alone with their thoughts and use technology to distract them in their emotions. Sure, driving isn't one of the most stimulating of events, especially when you're alone, and I get that. But make good choices, please, about when you use your phone. Personally, I can tell my friends, gonna drive now, and 100% of the time they're okay with it, and may even add a be safe along with it. But with that said, I know more people than not who will operate their cell phones while I'm a passenger in their car. Screw me, right? Screw me and my safety, right? Sure, you're carrying on a conversation, but at what cost? So here we are. I've made a few essential points, and I want to pose a few questions for you to think about the next time you get into a car. What are the reasons that you text and drive if you do? Is there something inherently terrifying about being alone for the length of your commute? Is Louis C.K. right by saying that we are afraid to be alone, which is why we're constantly texting and putting ourselves and other drivers at risk? There are much bigger questions here to be asked and explored, but the only thing I ask of you is to just leave your phone when it vibrates or rings. If it's really pertinent, pull over and take the call or send a message. That's why New York State Thruway invented those nifty little text stops as an example. Please reflect on your actions and driving practices as you use our roads and think hard about what you're actually doing and risking when you choose to use your smartphone while driving. Your 5-hour instructor was probably boring and an unengaging instructor, but if anything, they were right about this.